What you're seeing right now is fake. This, and this, it's all fake. In this video, I want to show you some incredible, powerful AI tools that will absolutely just blow your mind. Let's say we want to turn this video into a vertical video, but we do really not want to crop it. What we can do instead is this. Let me show you how. Spoiler alert, it's actually not in Premiere Pro. We're gonna use Photoshop for this one. I know, super wild that we can actually import videos into Photoshop, but let me show you what we're gonna do. I just imported my video into Photoshop, and as you can see, it has created a little timeline right here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use the crop tool right here. There are two ways to go about this. We could either change the width first and just crop it in, but personally, what I would recommend is to start with the height first. What we're gonna do is use the crop tool and then expand the top. Just take this handle right here and then drag it up. Once you're happy, keep the prompt open. We're not gonna write anything in the prompt and just click on generate. Now we're gonna give Photoshop a little bit of time to analyze the photo and generate a fill for that region. Now, this honestly does not take as much time as you think, but it should be already close to done now. When it's done, we can go to the panel on the right side and choose a variation, because the generative fill or the generative expand is actually gonna give you 3 options every single time. So if one of these options doesn't work, just click on generate again and let Photoshop generate a few more for you. Then if you notice that there is a little bit of a harsh line, because obviously you don't want that because you want this to look real, you can go and click right here on the mask icon. Then make sure that you also have the mask selected in the layers panel, and there you can choose the feather. Now, I wouldn't recommend to really over feather the mask because you will see that actually the edges are going to slightly disappear, but this will really help with blending it in. What you could also potentially do to kind of like spot treat it is with the mask selected, select the brush, make sure that you select black, and then make sure that the brush is really soft. So go up here and then set the hardness to 0. And now you've got this beautiful AI generated look that honestly no one will notice is fake. Amazing. Photoshop is honestly incredible, and the features that are coming to Photoshop are just mind-blowing as well. But if you're not super advanced at Photoshop, or maybe this was even your first time in Photoshop, then I really recommend you to learn the basics. If you're interested in learning more about Photoshop, don't subscribe to my channel because I don't have any Photoshop tutorials on this channel yet. Instead, what I would recommend you to do is to take a class on Skillshare. Skillshare has this learning path that is called Photoshop Basics, Learn the Ropes and Build Your Skills. And this will teach you all of the basics to get started in Photoshop. A learning path is basically a handpicked collection of classes that you can take to learn a specific skill. It is a very organized step-by-step way to learn either a new skill or improve a skill, as it ranges from beginners to advanced. Obviously, they do not just offer Photoshop classes, they also have illustration classes, video editing classes, classes for creative entrepreneurship, you name it, they probably have a class for it. And that is because Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes that are taught by industry pros, some of your favorite creators included. I am personally excited to take this class by Daniel, where he teaches how to retouch skin without just using the healing tool like I do. Guilty. If you want to check out or join Skillshare, there will be a link in the description that will give you a free month of Skillshare, but only for the first 500 people that sign up. Thank you, Skillshare, for sponsoring this portion of the video. For this approach, we need a reference frame, and a reference frame is literally just a screenshot of your video. So make sure that you're centered in that screenshot and then import it into Photoshop. Let's select the crop tool, and if you want to be really efficient and get it all done in one go, you can select a preset aspect ratio in this drop-down menu right here. So in this case, we want this to be a horizontal video, a 16:9 video, so we can select that and then grab one of the corners and just drag it out. It's totally okay if you're only expanding one side of it, because you can just grab the image and center it in the middle again. Now make sure that you use the grid to reposition the frame so you will always be in the center of the frame. And once you're ready, again, leave the prompt empty and then click on generate and let Photoshop do its magic. If you get options that you don't like, again, click on generate to get a few more options. And that is how I arrived at this look. Now this is not where the magic of Photoshop ends, because not only can you generatively expand, use generative expand, you can also use generative fill. If you want to add anything to your scene, you can either use the rectangle tool or the lasso tool to select an area on your frame. I would recommend to stay away from this, okay? Because we're going to work on that in a little bit. Go as wild as you want, add whatever your heart desires to your setup. I'm just going to go for a basic photo frame because what I want to show you is how realistic this purple light casting on this photo frame looks. This is stuff that I am obsessed with when it comes to AI in Photoshop.
A few minutes later.
We just skipped a bit forward in time, and as you can see, I've added speakers on one side, and I honestly do not know what it is on the right side, but it looks cool. I feel like it adds to the vibe of the setup that I want to go for, so we're just going for it. I also want to add some depth, so I'm actually going to be adding a ceiling. And again, if we take a look at the ceiling, I just love how the purple light is casted on the ceiling to just make it all look so cohesive and almost real. You can honestly go as wild as you want. It is also part trial and error, so try adding a plan, see if anything works. If it doesn't work, just remove it. Just play around with it until you're happy with the final look. Now, the reason why I said to not add anything here and basically keep this as your safety zone is because we're gonna do something with that now. Once you're happy with your framing and once you're happy with the expanded scene that we now have, we're going to export this and we're going to import it into Premiere Pro. Now, what's important is because we have expanded our scene is that we actually need to match our original video with that expanded scene. So you might have to match up the position and the scale of your original video with your new generated AI background, and then it is time to mask yourself out, and this is why you needed that safety zone. In order to start masking ourselves out or in, depending on how you want to call it, I am going to go to opacity and I'm going to click on the pen tool, and then I just draw a mask around myself by creating some points. Now, I also really like to create curves to just make it flow a little bit better, and to do that is by holding Option or Alt on your keyboard. Honestly, I don't think we need any more feathering for this shot, but feel free to play around with the feathering to make it look more realistic for you. And as you can see, the generative AI did a really good job of casting shadows and casting light on certain objects that I added into my scene. But to really pull this together, something that you can do is add a color correction or a color grading. In order to do this, you would have to create an adjustment layer by clicking on New Item and then Adjustment Layer. Then go to Window to open the Lumetri color or switch to the color workspace if you want, and then just play around with the basic correction settings as well as the creative settings if you want to add a LUT, for example. Another insane, and when I say insane, I mean insane AI tool that is currently just in development is Adobe Firefly Generative AI for Video. Now, I went to Adobe Max and they showed us what this is capable of, and it absolutely blew my mind. It is going to change the way that we make videos because you can turn a still image into a moving image, for example, which basically means that what we did at the beginning of this video, we can actually add a little bit of movement to that generated background. So we can add a little bit of a breeze or something through the plan, something to make it look a little bit more real. Like I said, the Adobe Firefly Generative AI for Video is still in development, so we cannot use it just yet. But one AI tool that we can start using is, and I've said it before, the remix tool. This is a tool that allows you to either extend or shorten any song that you want. And I use this in every single video because I love this tool so much. And I mention it in a lot of my videos because every time that I do, there are still people that do not know about the remix tool. So I will talk about it once more in this video right here.